Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Buck the Black Hunter, and this is Cassie from Cassie's Sweet Treats. Thank you guys for being here. This is
And Navexia.
and Navexia. I can't forget baby Navexia. She's right here with us. You want to say hi? Say hi, baby girl.
Hello.
And we have the dogs in here as well, but you can't see them because they're under the table. But this is my very first podcast since I've been back from my month-long trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it was a very fun trip, I gotta say. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and a lot more ups than downs. But
Just
yeah.
remember, I was not there. This is just him. I was home doing the mom thing.
She did the mom thing, single mom in it for a whole month, warrior mom in it, solo bolo, working 2 jobs and taking care of a baby. All I couldn't even. Just give her an applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this amazing. I mean, hold on. I think we have.
Yay!
I think we. So yes, applause for Cassie for taking care of the fort while I was gone and letting me bring home the meat. But you know, the moment I left, I was already missing you. I mean, I think I called you when I was in Reno. I think I stopped in Elko at the Walmart, and I called you, and I just missed you, and I was just wishing you guys were here with me, and yeah. But honestly, I'm glad you guys didn't come with me to Montana because that would have been a pretty awkward experience. But yeah.
So Montana didn't really work out like you thought it was going to, right?
Montana did not work out.
You were
like
supposed
I
to
thought
be
it was.
there for like 10 days.
Yes, that was the plan.
Okay.
10 days.
But what ended up changing?
So when I got to Montana, the person I was hunting with told me that the plans had changed.
Okay.
And that the guys that they were going to be going up with decided to go 4 or 5 days later, and we were going to meet them later, but instead we're going to go to this other spot to go hunt.
Right.
I was fine with it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when we showed up, it was like logging roads, and there was no real place to camp. My truck wasn't going to make it up to the top of the hill with my pull trailer on that sketchy ass road. So there wasn't really a lot of places for us to park. So we pulled over on the side of the road, and I set up a small little tent. I actually slept in my car the first night because I didn't really have anything set up. But yeah, so when the guy I went with was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
His best friend that I met was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some other characters that were around that area hunting that weren't the nicest.
The nicest, like they didn't like what kind of nice?
Well,
like, just like hello, goodbye, how are you? Like,
okay, well,
nice people, or
I wish, for example, the morning of opener, I woke up early, and my guy actually slept in, and yeah, that might shock her. And he slept in. I got up. I'm getting ready. A car passes by, and I get some pretty foul looks on the drive up by the first car that went up.
Mm-hmm.
The second car that went up, as I wave, the driver actually went to go reach for a handgun and tapped his hat and pointed it at me. It was like, "How'd he do, sir? Like with your gun?" I didn't at the time. I didn't pay any mind to it. I was just like, "Oh, he must like his gun." Saying hi. The third person didn't even look at me. And so my buddy woke up a couple 45 minutes later or whatever. We went up to go hunt, and we both split up. I ended up bumping into one of the groups, and what he had said is, "Are you sure you're in the right place? Your kind isn't really well liked around here." And at first, I didn't really think about it.
But that's a pretty bold statement, right?
Yeah,
your kind isn't really liked around
I
here?
wasn't sure what he meant, so I knew what he meant, but I didn't want to like assume what he meant. So I played it cool, and I just did my Orlando thing and kind of walked away and was kind of like taken back, like, oh, okay, what the fuck was that about? So I went to my buddy and I asked him, I was like, hey, is this a racist place? And his response is hilarious. He says, it's not racist, it's old school.
Which to a black person, I'm assuming that means pretty much the same thing.
It pretty much means the same thing to me. But, you know, whatever. I was there to hunt, so I kept hunting. Mm-hmm. Then we went up a little bit later. I went off to go glass another side of the ridge, and he went to go glass a different side of the ridge. And then another group drove by me, and they literally said like the same rhetoric, like you shouldn't be here, kind of thing. Like you're not really well liked around here. Like why are you up here in this hunting area? Like you're out of your area, kind of thing.
Right.
So I went immediately, kind of went back to my guy. I was like, you know what, let's go back to camp and let's have some lunch. So I went back to camp. I started my car. My car made a funky noise, thank God. And I was like, oh, I gotta take my car into the shop.
Right.
I went down to the gas station to ask which shop should I go to. And the crazy thing is, there's black people in this town, so I see them. The lady straight up looked at me and said, "You don't want to go anywhere near this area. You want to go as far from this area as possible. Maybe Kalispell, maybe Billings. You're better off, but you don't want to go to any automotive spot around here." Right. And I was just like, okay, it's time to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that was like the fourth or fifth person that told you straight up, you're kind, you shouldn't be here. Like it's like kind of giving you the warning.
Yeah.
Shot, right?
And I found out later from some reliable resources from Montana that that's a very high white supremacist area.
Oh, perfect.
But the crazy thing is that I seen like a black person at the grocery store. I mean, at the gas station, and I don't know, he didn't seem to mind being there at all.
So what do you think the difference is then? Why do you think there are some people that can live there and be of color and someone who's not? Do you feel like
I think I might have touched somebody's sweet spot, hunting spot, and like I'm an outsider who's at their hunting spot, and it's kind of like, wait, what the fuck? No, this is a locals only spot.
I mean, and tell me if I'm wrong, but not every black person has the same mentality, right? There can be regardless of your color, you can have a certain outlook that maybe he's like-minded. I'm not saying you have a black white supremacist, but you might have like a super Trump supporter, and that's what helps him like get along with everybody else. Or just because they're black doesn't mean they're right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they've done their time and had those conversations, and they've kind of made their presence known.
That could be possible.
You also have California plates.
But he also said, the buddy, he was like, yeah, there's a black person that just moved into town, and he always gets his ass flipped at these bars. I told him, don't go to this bar, don't go to this bar, don't go to this bar, don't go to this bar. And what did he do? He goes to those bars. Yeah, they're closer, but he goes to those bars. And in my head, I'm thinking, you're justifying the fact that there's racist people at these bars. This is a segregated area, is what you're telling me. So I don't know.
So basically, if you're of color, you have segregated places you belong in where you don't.
From what he told me, there are places that are okay with you going in there, and there are places with you not going okay with you going in there. So he told me to meet up at a spot. It was like a bar / diner, and I guess that was one of the spots that was okay because I went in there, and I didn't have any problems, but I had problems everywhere else I went, and it was just a weird feeling. I was scared, to be honest with you. I was legitimately scared the entire way until I got to Billings. I was like,
oh yeah,
all right. The first thing I did was go to McDonald's, and I seen a black chick at the McDonald's checkout. I was like, oh, what's up? Yeah. Been a long time, because the last thing I wanted to do was get arrested. Something else that kind of caught me off guard is he talked about his buddy. Right. And he's talking about like the Black Lives Matters movement and how it's stupid and how like defunding the police is stupid and all that kind of stuff. And I don't necessarily agree with defunding the police, but then he goes on to talk about his friend who is an alcoholic and frequents these bars that no other black person is supposed to go to. And he gets in altercations with cops. And he's like bragging to me about how on multiple occasions he's beaten up cops.
And he's white?
He's white.
Okay.
And the cops don't. He said the cops don't pull him over because he was smoking weed. And I'm like, you guys aren't afraid to be driving around in your car smoking weed? He's like, the cops don't even pull him over anymore. He's beating up so many cops in this area, like it's crazy. Like he's one time we were at the bar and 20 cops came and he was fighting each cop and no one can take him down. Right. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't the cops just shoot his ass? Wait. Like that was my first reaction was, shouldn't he be getting shot if he's putting a cop's life in danger, multiple cops' lives in danger?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't see how that could have been a little bit. What's the word? I'm trying to.
So he saw that as being too aggressive, shooting somebody?
No, he didn't. So he was talking about cops being able to shoot black people who are a threat to them.
Right.
But then he boasts about his friend beating up cops.
Right. It just goes to show you kind of the mentality of what's okay, like what's acceptable and what's not in certain areas, you know?
Yeah.
The trigger happy, not every cop is like this. Let me put that out there.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of law enforcement. I do think there's bad seeds in every career path, though, even in my own. But I think the hard part is the how do I like it's more acceptable to know that if a black person is coming towards you swinging, taking you out, threatening, they probably wouldn't be like, all right, we're just going to write him off because he's too like out of pocket all the time, or he can take us out, or he's like too aggressive, or we can never arrest him because he does too much damage to our bodies. They wouldn't do that to a black person. They would see them as a threat and likely probably go trigger happy. But with a white person, they're just automatic. In some mentalities, they're automatically deemed as not as dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know. They say that there's more white people shot by cops than black people, and that may be true. But all I'm saying is the vibe there in that area was I didn't feel comfortable.
Mm.
But I will say when I got to Wyoming, it was a completely different vibe. Right. Completely different feeling in Wyoming. I was even pulled over by a cop in Wyoming. And we had a great time talking. Right. We talked about hunting. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going hunting in this area. You know, you just went." I was a little bit over the speed, like 6 miles per hour over the speed, which is fineable. And but yeah, I got a speeding ticket, and he didn't really seem to, he wasn't tripping. It was just kind of like, watch your speed, see you later, enjoy your hunt, and enjoy Wyoming, and it was like a blast of a time. So I really do think it is like area by area.
Yeah, and there are a lot of areas still in the U.S. that are more like the pockets that you found in Montana, and there are other areas that are not.
Yeah.
But the diversity factor brings a lot of awareness, too. So if you're from a town where there's no black people or there's one or whatever, the only awareness that you're going to have of, like, police brutality or Black Lives Matter or things like that are more active in more diverse areas is from the news and the media. And we all know that that's fairly filtered, and you can kind of choose what you get to hear and what you don't, and they cherry pick what they give you, and they want people to feel a certain way about things they put on the media.
The news is the worst.
You don't have a very reliable source of knowing much about minorities' perspectives on things like law enforcement when you don't live around it.
Yeah.
And especially if you're not interested, you're not going to go looking for it.
So when I was in Wyoming, I got the feeling that there is white supremacists out there, because I seen somebody with a white supremacist sticker on their truck. But fun thing enough, he waved at me.
I don't know. And
like, I was talking to a couple of locals, and they were like, "Yeah, that shit won't last out here. Like, we'll put that shit to rest. We don't put it. This is not that kind of. This is a cowboy state. We don't put up with that white supremacist shit. We don't put up with none of that shit. We're an equal state. The reason that people think we're racist in Wyoming is because there's no black people."
Right.
And I was just like, you're right. There's none, because it's freaking cold as hell, and I don't know a lot of people
a lot of
who
states
are okay with being shoveling snow 6 months out of the year.
Well, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to out of state, that I've talked to about moving out of state, I think more often than not now, because there is a big stigma too of Californians are kind of taking over the rest of the nation because we all want to get we all want to get the hell out, or some of us do. That kind of the overall mentality is, regardless of what color you are, a lot of what I'm hearing from other states is, regardless of what color you are, just don't step into a new state and be like, I know everything, or try to stir the pot, or start up some shit, or like, we can't step into a bumhole nowhere super white town or even diverse town and act like we know everything. And everybody that says anything that's even moderately naive, we can't be like, you're a fucking racist.
Right, yeah.
So if you come into any place like that and you come in kind of like arrogant and
stereotypically
hello. Whoa. Wow, I had quite the
Oh wow. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I
knocked over
my stuff and all of my buttons went off all at once.
Hey, baby. So my point is I think a lot of places there are some segregation. There's definitely probably still white supremacists. They're, they kind of are where they are, and maybe we just don't know exactly where they are. But at the same time, I think more often than not, a lot of states' mentality or people's mentality is just don't come in here like super hypersensitive that everyone's a racist, or come in knowing everything, or come in trying to change other people's ways and the ways they do things in other states.
Right, yeah.
And then you'll be fine regardless of your color.
And I'm all about that because, I want things to kind of, the reason I'm going to a place is because I like that place for how it is. I don't want to, I'm not going there to try to change it and make it, like, I'm going there because I feel like it's part of me already. And I'm not trying to make it mine. It kind of already is mine.
Well, and America as a culture is an individualistic culture. So we're all, have the rights to our own opinions and freedom and religion and this and that. So you can't go in expecting open arms if you're going to come in being like, oh, this is what's wrong with your town or your state, or you guys are all fucking stupid, or liberals or Republican, or you can't go around tossing out names like that, because you're going to get shunned out real quick, regardless of if you're the same color or not.
Big time.
But Wyoming ended up not the place where you wanted to be for too long, just because the trip didn't turn out to be what you
Montana.
Montana. The trip didn't turn out to be what it planned out to be.
No, I spent
over the phone before you left home.
I spent one night in Montana.
Right.
And I got the hell out. Well, 2 nights. One night in Columbia Falls and one night in Billings.
Right. And just kind of got that bad feeling and then got out.
Once I got that bad feeling, I couldn't shake it. Once that guy came up to me, I was like, let's go figure this out. Let me go talk to this local who invited me out here and see what his opinion is on what's going on, because I think anybody in your shoes would have, even if it was a different colored person. If a white person would step in a predominantly black place and they felt this kind of uneasiness, this lack of safety, someone tapping their hat and pointing a gun kind of towards your way, kind of pissing on their territory kind of idea, I think anyone would be like, I shouldn't probably be here. That was a little extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
Tapping the hat and pointing the gun. But Wyoming, I'll save Wyoming for our next discussion.
Sure.
I got a lot to talk about Wyoming.
I know.
Thank you guys for listening. This was my first portion of my trip. This is my journey, and the journey continues. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.